Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Santa Anita Park here on Saturday. It is the 28th of September 2024. Gonna look at the stakes races here on California Crown Day from the Great Race Place. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it, around the world. We have quite a few stakes races to look at here, races 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let's get to it right now. The fifth race from Santa Anita, we're going to the Hillside Turf Course with the Unzip Me Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000, race for 3-year-old fillies. We have a field of, a field of 14 horses entered, but we'll be down to a field of 12 because the 2 and 5 are withdrawn program scratches here. 12 horses going to the Hillside Turf Course, the about 1,300 meter journey, or about 6.5 furlongs down the El Camino Real Turf Course, or whatever they call it, the Hillside Turf Course. Top selection here, I'm going to go with the 10 horse Golden Canary, 10, 6, 11, 1 for me in the superfecta, 10, 6, 11, 1 super. Top selection 10 horse Golden Canary, 3-year-old Philippe Medalla de Oro. Mark Hassey trains. John Velasquez comes in to ride this horse. His most recent race actually came out at Woodbine, 7 furlongs on the E.P. Taylor Turf Course, an opposite 150 claimer. Second time facing older horses. It was a success, winning by 3 lengths that day. He saw a good pace to stalk with. He slowly moved his way into the race, a little bit wide late, but he got the job done going away. 86 Spire, not, wasn't the world's fastest race ever, but I thought it was a very good race, and that's a logical step. Coming here, yeah, I like an outside poster with him. He should find a good trip, should have a good turn of foot late, and I think going down the hill is something this horse could really do wonders with. He ran 2 back at Woodbine off the bench. 6.5 on the E.P. Taylor Lawn, up to 50 claimer, where he finished second by 3/4 in length that day, and he stalked. He had a lead. He got caught before the wire. Just kind of got a little leg weary. He probably needed the race off the bench, but he ran his heart out that day. And then at Gulfstream back in March, mile 16th off turf to Peta and off 75, finished 7 by 9.5 lengths. Not the best beginnings. He was just wide and just flat that day. He's really been an improving type since that bench. He came back to run a decent Beyer last time out, or 2 back. Last time out, ran a very good Beyer in Victor. If you look at his races earlier on in the career where he was sprinting on turf, that's where he was running good Beyers, and that's where he was exceeding with. He's back to a turf sprint race. He could win. I'm going to use him on the ticket. This 6 horse Zonda Verde for Juan Hernandez and Phil D'Amato, another horse cutting back and trip, just wasn't getting that trip in the Del Mar Oaks. I do think going back to the Hillside Turf Course where this horse ran decently in the Sweet Life back in February, if she runs that race today, she could win. I'm going to give her a shot here on the ticket. She's also training quite nicely on the Tapeta. But to recount my selection for the 5th from Santa Anita, it is the Unzip Me Stakes. We're going to go take the 10 horse Golden Canary. We'll give kudos to the 6 horse Zona Verde, 10, 6, 11, 1 super, 10, 6 in the multi-race. And before I go any further, I forgot to mention this. There's an all-stakes pick 5 that begins here, but it connects races 5. We're going to skip race 6, and then it's going to connect races 7 through 10. Why couldn't they just put this race in the, swap races 5 and 6? I don't know, but they didn't. But let's just put a weird, maiden race into the spot to make it a little bit more difficult, I guess, for this pick 5. But I would have just flopped the races. But that's something that bothers me. But we're gonna head over to race number 7 now. We're gonna skip that 6th race, which is a very weird 2-year-old race, and we're gonna head over to race number 7, which is the John Henry Turf Championship, or the California Crown John Henry Turf Championship. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $750,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of, a field of 11 horses going 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter on the Hillside Turf Course. I'm going to go take the number 4 horse here, Masterpiece, as a top selection. 4, 3, 5, 11 for me in the superfecta. 4, 3, 5, 11 super. Top selection of 4 horse, Masterpiece. 8-year-old original by Master Craftsman. Dick Dutrow trains. Juan Hernandez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Del Mar Handicap at Del Mar, a mile 3 furlongs. 31st of August, where he finished 5th by 1.5 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He kind of yielded late. I do think that extra furlong got to him. Back to a mile and a quarter here today, where he'll see a very strong pace in front. I think he could really find a trip to win. He ran the Eddie Reed off the bench at Del Mar, a mile furlongs, 28th of July, where he finished 4th by 4.75 lengths that day, and he sat back early. He looked like he had a turn of foot that day, but he needed something more, just a little bit traffic trouble cost him. He ran his heart out that day, and then the Fort Marcy at Aqueduct over the mile furlong on the inner turf course back in May, winning by a neck. He stalked all the way around the race course. Adam and Fleet was flying late. This horse just gamed it out to the wire. I thought that was a very good race off the bench. Since coming to the Dutro Barn last summer, he's really improved a lot. He won last year's Red Smith. Ran last year's Arlington Million, where he just kind of yielded late, but he had a very good place on the 4th of July last year at Belmont. He has hidden ability that could definitely win here. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. I think the 3 horse here, who is Divine Propos for Antonio Frazu and Philly Diamato coming also, was a winner going 11 furlongs at Del Mar last month, quite easily by a length from a dragon trip where he flew home clear late. Prior to that, over the 9 furlongs at Del Mar, he just wasn't really getting around the race course, where he just had a very troubled trip, but he won going a mile and a quarter here in June quite easily by 2 lengths from a dragon trip. His races in France haven't been half bad. Should like a rock hard firm turf course. At 6-1 is a bit of an upsetter. I'll use him on the ticket here in the late pick 4 that begins with this race. But to recount my selections for the 7 from Santa Anita, it's the John Henry Turf Championship. We're going to take the 4-horse Masterpiece. Give kudos to the 3-horse Divine Propos. 4-3, 5-11 Super, 4-3 in the multi-race. Let's get to the featured 8th race, back to the top of the hillside turf course with the Eddie Z Stakes. It's a grade 2 event going for a $750,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of 11 horses going about 1,300 meters or about 6.5 furlongs on the Santa Anita hillside turf course. I'm going to take the 2-horse First Piece as a top selection. We're going to go 2-6-11-1 in the superfecta. 2-6-11-1 super, top selection 2-horse First Piece, 4-year-old colt by Fantastic Mark Latt Trains. Mike Smith gets on this one. The horse's most recent appearance came in the Del Mar Mile Handicap at Del Mar, a mile on 31st of August, and the horse finished 6 by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He had a very wide trip and just never quickened up. He yielded out of it. It wasn't his day to win. He won over the mile on the Wicker before that at Del Mar over the mile on the 21st of July, winning by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He stalked, he got the lead. He had to dig in to get the job done, but he did just that. A very good performance with a 101 career best buyer, and then back here sprinting in a allowance race for 62,000, allowance race for no conditions back on over the 6th back in June here. He finished 3rd by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he didn't have the best beginnings. He just kind of chased that day. I think his races down the hill have been, a little bit better than those oval turf sprints here at Santa Anita. Here, his most recent race down the hill came in the Daytona here back in May, where he finished 2nd by a half length, where he had a very, very troubled beginning that day, but he really gained a lot that day late. He had a very good place prior to the Siren Lure down the hill, and then he ran last year's Desert Code down the hill, where again he ran terrifically. He hasn't won at this trip, but he's run these good races, just missing late. Coming here today, he did win. He won back here in February, but over this trip. But I think finally coming back to the trip, getting big money Mike up, I think he could win. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the 6-horse here, Air Force Red for Juan Hernandez and Leonard Powell could win also. Another horse cutting back in trip. He had everything his own way, winning last time out at Del Mar quite easily. And he's the kind of horse, when he's routing, he needs to lead. When he goes down the hill or turf sprints, he doesn't need to lead. And I think he could find a trip from the back of the pack at 10-1. I'll use him on the ticket. And the 11-horse Big Invasion, he's coming to the West Coast for the second time, first time down the hill. He ran a massive place in last year's Brewers Cup sprint, where he just missed behind no balls that day, where he had a very troubled trip going into that far turn. Since then, it's taken him a little bit of time to get going. He had very troubled trips, but I thought the race 2 back on the 4th of July was his, a good, step down class, a good confidence builder, where he nearly won, beating Outlaw Kid. He just missed late, but he had a great turn of foot late. Came back to win the Harvey Pack at Saratoga over the Mellon Turf course quite easily. He's refreshing here. He's going to have to overcome a wide trip and a quirky turf course, but I think if you look at some of the horses he's been facing on the East Coast, those are a little bit tougher than these horses today, but he's going to have to get down that quirky turf course. I'll give him a shot on the ticket, but I do prefer the other 2 before him. But I think this is probably one of the best races on today's program, if not the best, so I think you go a few ways in this one. But to recap my selection for the 8th now from Santa Anita, it's the Eddie D Stakes. We're going to take the 2-horse First Piece, give kudos to the 6-horse Air Force Red and the 11-horse Big Invasion, 2-6-11-1 Super, 2-6-11 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 9th race from Santa Anita, which is the feature on the program. It is the Goodwood Stakes. I'm sorry, it's the Awesome again. Sorry, that's not right. It is the California Chrome Stakes. No, it's not. It is the California Crown Stakes. It's presented by Sir Davis American Whiskey. It's a grade 1 event going for a purse $1 million. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of 7 horses and sprinter to go 1,800 meters a mile and the eighth, and this year is Awesome Again. And basically, that's what it is. And a rebranded Awesome Again Goodwood Stakes. They should just call it the Goodwood again, I guess. When they thought, I guess when they thought they're going to make this race $1 million, they'll have more than a good quality group of horses in. But I think for this division, the best race, we have 3 races for this division going right now in North America today. You have this race, you have the Lucas Classic, and you have the Woodward. I think from a betting standpoint and probably quality standpoint, also the Lucas Classic is probably the best for that division, followed by the Woodward, and then followed by this. This is worth more money than all those races, which is which is a head scratcher here. But with that being said, it's just I don't know why they made this race $1 million, and I don't know if it was a success with the quality group they just got. But let me get to my selections here. I'm going to go with the number 2 horse here, Subsandor as a top selection. 2, 3, 5, 1 for me in the superfecta. 2, 3, 5, 1 super. Top selection 2 or Substandor. 5-year-old horse by Fortify. Dick Mandela trains and Mike Smith gets the mount. They ran the horse in the Island at Monmouth last time out on mile 16th, 17th of August, where he won by 1.5 lengths. And it's been 20 years since the Island winner produced a British Cup Classic winner, being Go Sapper. He didn't run 118 or 120 buyer in that Island Substandor, but he ran a respectable career best 102 buyer. Went by 1.25 lengths. He stalked all the way around the race course. He had a great turn of foot, and he went away with it, cutting back and trip, going to the East Coast to get a check. I thought that was a very good race. Since the last race, he's training quite nicely in Southern California. He's coming here to a mile and eighth where he'll be forwardly paced. I think that's where he's going to find a trip to win. He ran the Gold Cup at the Hollywood Gold Cup 2 back over the mile and a quarter on the 27th of May. Where he finished 4th by 6.25 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked that day, never really got going. Mr. Fisk just had the jump on him. And that was a very weird race for him there. And then the Santinian handicap over the mile quarter in March. He finished 2nd by a head behind Newgate. He set the pace. He got overtaken by Newgate late, but he didn't go down without a fight. I thought he showed potential. And then before that, in the San Antonio on Boxing Day, opening day, he finished 4th by 3.25 lengths. First start stateside. He probably needed the race. He just had not the best beginnings. He was wide, and he just, was not really concentrating on the run. But since then, he's really improved a lot. Last time out, getting Mike up, horse really improved. Really got to the task. He's training well. 5-1. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. I think your second likeliest winner here is a 3-horse National Treasure for Bob Baffert, and Flavian Pratt was a winner 2 back in the Metropolitan handicap over the Wilson Mile at Saratoga, winning by 6.25 lengths. He was much the best. Came back in the Whitney on the mud after that in early August over the mile and the eighth at Saratoga. That track at Saratoga that day was very weird. A lot of horses just weren't firing. He didn't fire. He finished 6th by 10 lengths at 95 cents a dollar. He just completely missed the mark that day. The closers got to him. And then prior, in 3 back at the Saudi Cup, he finished 4th by 1.25 lengths. He just kind of stalked and never really got going. Senor Buscador was running back this one, just closed up from nowhere along with Usaba Tesoro that day. This horse just wasn't getting into it. But if you look at some of his races at the end of last year, he ran a disappointing race in the Awesome Again here last year in this one, and then came back to run a massive race in the British Cup Dirt Mile where he got sent out of the gate to go good and set some good fraction in the British Cup Dirt Mile. Only problem is Cody's Wish is an absolute freak and caught him at the wire. But this horse, he ran a terrific race in the feet that day. Came back to go away in the Pegasus after that. But the biggest question with him is, can he win on this track? It is his home base, but he hasn't won here. He's 5-0 on this track, and his most recent race here in the in the most 2 recent races here on the track have been very subpar. 3 races, shall I say. The Pegasus was good, but his Awesome Again last year when this one was crap, and his Santonia handicap or Santonia Derby last year was absolutely crap, where he never got going. But if he runs outside of Southern California, he runs these terrific races. He's training well. I'll give him a shot. He has that inability to win here, but I think Substandor is your likeliest winner in the spot. But to recount my selection for the ninth now from Santa Anita, it's the California Crown. Gonna take the 2-horse Substandor. Give kudos to the 3-horse National Treasure. 2, 3, 5, 1 super. 2, 3 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 10th event, the nightcap from Santa Anita. It is the City of Hope Mile. It's It's a grade 2 event going for a $200,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,600 meters or mile on the turf course. I'm going to go with the 6-horse Tricari as the top selection. 6-3-8-9 for me in the superfecta. 6-3-8-9 super. Top selection 6-horse Tricari. 3-year-old colt by Oscar Performance. Grand Motion trains. John Velasquez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the Secretariat at at Colonial, mile on the inner turf course, 11th of August, and it was a success for this horse. Won by 2 1/4 lengths. He sat back early. He was a little bit wide late, but he got the job done. A going away victory. I thought that was a good race for him that day. They had the option of going to Saratoga for that Saratoga Derby, but they actually skipped it over to get to the Secretariat. He actually was a Grade 1 winner, winning the Belmont Derby at Aqueduct, mile 3/16 in July, winning by a head. He stalked all the way around the race course. He caught White Palomino home late. It was a small group of horses home, but it was a good group of horses getting the job done. A very good race for him that day. And then the Penn National over the mile in June. He finished third by a neck. He stalked. He had the lead. First World War had the jump on him late, but this horse, he ran his heart out that day. But he's had a very good under the radar campaign for the 3-year-old turf horses. He won the Rushaway, came back to win the American Turf at Churchill at 47-1 quite easily from an inside poster where Umberto Rispoli really rode the horse terrifically. Came back to run a very respectable race after that, and subsequently also he's training well at Far Hills. He's facing older horse for the first time. Not the world's deepest race. He can win. I'll use him, and I think the 3-horse Johannes for Umberto Rispoli and Timmy Actine can win also. And winner of his last 3, he won the American last year, the American Stakes here at San Antonio back in the spring quite easily. Came back to win the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, and came back to win the Eddie Reed in July here over at Del Mar. Since coming through the green stuff, he's really become a great horse. Even his race in defeat in the American Turf last season wasn't bad at all. 4-5, he's a winner of his last 3. I'm going to give him a shot here, but I think Tricari is on the up and up. I want to keep an eye on him as the season goes on. But to recount my selection for the 10th from San Antonio, that's the City of Hope Mile. I'm going to take the 6-horse Tricari. Give kudos to the 3-horse Johannes. 6-3-8-9 Super, 6-3 in the multi-race. That being said, good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingHit5. Good luck, everybody.